Well, today I lost out on another housing opportunity. I found a small little mobile home cottage by the beach in Florida, and I was going to wait until tomorrow to put an offer. And as I refreshed my app, Realtor.com, it showed that it went from active to pending within hours. And it really kind of was like a heartbreaking. When you're in the market for a house and you miss out on a few opportunities, it's like a breakup. Good to see you, Hal. Great to have you on the live chat, brother. And I was really a little bit down today because now I kind of feel not like an excited nomad, but like someone who is stuck in this homeless algorithm, whether I'm living in my car or a hotel, which I'm currently at now. And I want to talk about that a little bit, but before I get more into house prices, I had a comment right before I went live and it put my life in perspective. And that's sometimes what we need, especially when we feel like we miss out. This was a person who left a comment on one of the videos I did over a year ago about having children could be selfish. Now, this person left two comments. Here they are. He goes, "My mother gave me and my twin up to a relative who had 6 other kids because she didn't want CPS to take me and my twin." And then he goes, "I was born to be my grandmother's caretaker, and that's the only reason, I'm pretty sure." So I don't know his full story, and I'm sure he has some positives in life and some negative. But I know my story, and I know that my family certainly wasn't perfect, but I would say overall I've been very fortunate in my life to have what I have even now, even having the option to buy and having what I have. So I say that because when you're in a state of disappointment or a state of failure or frustration, sometimes we need to look at things through a sober perspective as far as realizing the good things that we do have in our life. Good to see you, J99, Infinity, Andre. Thank you, Hal, for all your positivity. I've been praying for you with your situation, with your new rental, and with everything new this year. You've been very positive, Hal. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And so, like I said, I was so disappointed. I was ready to make an offer tomorrow. And I get so close to these things, and this is now like the 5th house in a few months. The condo was the only other thing closest. There's only one more piece of property that I've been looking at that's still active, but it's at 150,000. I really didn't want to go that high. I really wanted to be closer to 100, 125. So I'm faced with this dilemma like many people are. Do you keep waiting? Now, the first thing I want to say, if you feel like you're priced out, is if you are single with no kids, there's not an extreme amount of pressure on you. Because the only thing different from renting versus buying is a financial level of equity long term. Okay. Because it's going to take you, on average, there's exceptions, but it's going to take you about 7 years or so for that investment to pay off. Okay. So if you rent for the next few years, it's not going to be this huge difference, but it's an emotional difference. And it's a somewhat financial difference, but the average rent right now in America is about $1,200 a month, and you may be able to get that a little bit less if you're single and you can go to a studio. I've been looking at rentals by the beach; they're around $1,500 right now in South Florida. So it all depends on location, right? That's always the biggest thing, whether it's regards to real estate prices or whether it's regards to rental. Location is everything. But I want to share with you some numbers, okay? If I buy something at 150,000, right now the average house in America is about 350,000. Again, the average rent is 1,200. So it would take a lot of months of $1,200 per month to equal 350,000, and that doesn't include property tax, home insurance, HOA fees if there are any maintenance. But let's just look at my example. Okay, and the 150 thing is an RV lot. It's not a home, so I couldn't get a 30-year mortgage on the RV lot. I could only probably get a 10-year mortgage from a local bank. But let's just say it was a home. Let's say it was something I can get a 30-year mortgage on. So, and let's say you put 20% down, okay? That's looking in southeast Florida. There's a couple different towns and couple different couple different counties. I don't know, so I'm not sure yet which one I'll pick, but I definitely know I want to be southeast Florida. So 20% of 150 is 30,000. So if you put down 30,000, that's a lot of money. But let's just say you put that down. Okay. How many months of $1,200 per month just for the down payment? Well, let's take 30,000. Okay. Divided by 1,200. So it would take 25 months. That's 2 years. It would take over 2 years just to get your down payment back. Now, if you did 2 years of rental, you're never getting that money back. But what you're doing is just buying time. Now, in 2 years, could house prices continue to go up at the rate they are? I don't know. It's possible, but it would certainly drive most people out of the market. I couldn't see how the average person can continue to keep up with pace. I mean, again, I consider myself fortunate. Good to see you, Twister. Yeah, Twister, overall, my day was good, but disappointing because I went today. Today was Memorial Day weekend as I make this a holiday. So I went to look at a little old mobile home by the beach for about 130,000. And I said to myself, you know what, Sam? This is probably a good enough deal because I'm by the beach. I don't have to buy an RV. If the thing lasts me a couple years, I keep my current car, the risk is mitigated. I think I'm going to go with this one. I was excited. I know the community, and within hours, I had it as a favorite on Realtor.com, the app, and in hours it went into pending. And I've been on this roller coaster ride with properties these past few months, and again, it's like dating, and so it's like very disappointing. So I had to encourage myself. But back to these numbers, again, just for the down payment for a $150,000 home, if you put 20% down, that's 30,000. It'd take 2 years worth of rent to pay that back. But let's go ahead and do the numbers as if you paid off the loan. Okay, so if you had a $120,000 loan, because that's what's left, 30 years at let's say right now the interest rate probably be about 3.5. So 3.5 interest rate. So that's $539 per month, plus property taxes were around $2,000 a year. So 2,000 divided by 12, that's 166. Okay, and this was a mobile home, so this is an old one. I probably wouldn't put insurance on it, but if you got a loan on it, you'd have to put insurance on it. You got to think about that, So let's just see here, 536 plus 166. You look about $700, and it doesn't include utilities and insurance if you have to put it on. So after utilities and after insurance, you'd be close to 900, between 900 and 1,000. Now again, this is if you could get a loan, and this is if you could find a home that you want for 150,000. Knowing that the average house right now in America is 350,000. I think most people could probably find a house for 300, maybe some depending on the area, 200, 250. Now a condo or old mobile home lot maybe, but these mobile home lots, you want to own the land. You don't want to do a land lease because then you might as well just keep renting. The equity of ownership is in the land. So back to the numbers. So, something like that, where you're paying, let's just say you're paying $900 a month for 12 months, that's a little over $10,000 a year times 12. Yeah, so, it would take you about 7 to 8 years for you to get back, again, what you would pay in rent and have positive equity. Now, again, that's assuming that, real estate doesn't keep going up 20, 30% per year, which we've kind of been in this unique situation where in 2021, house prices are at all-time high on average. And there is this feverish pitch, especially before we possibly go back to normal. If society totally reopens in the fall and the pandemic is at least behind us in a major way, does things even out? And next summer, even if there's not a recession, is there less of a fever? Because by next summer, most people who wanted to buy have bought. Most people who wanted to have sold have sold. So I think, then you get to a point where, I think the supply demand at least levels out, but no one knows the future. And you still have the fact that, look, the baby boomers are getting older. As that generation goes and as they leave property behind, you're going to have their children who liquidate most of that property, because I don't think that when you inherit property, I don't think most people will live on that property. But as you wait for certain things, what does happen is life goes by. Okay. Whether you rent or whether you buy, one of the messages I want to communicate tonight is that life goes by. So one thing I had to do, again, to put myself in perspective today was I said, Sam, look, even if you owned a house today versus staying in this hotel or staying in my car, what would you be doing? And I said, look, on a day like today, I would have done the same thing pretty much. So I remind myself that, Sam, certainly, you have to keep your eye out, but certainly you also have to remember that a house, while it can be a complement to your lifestyle, it doesn't necessarily make your happiness or make your life. It's another component of life. You can certainly build a great life as a renter, as a nomad. I've done it for 4 years. And I asked myself that today, like, Sam, you've been a nomad for... I'm back. I had to reboot my phone. Remember, persistence beats resistance. And, don't give up. Don't lose hope. Maritas, great to see you. I know Maritas in the same boat as me. Very anxious, feeling like we're priced out of the housing market. But Maritas, I totally empathize with that. But like I say, we are still fortunate. If we have our health, if we have our means, and, owning a home does not make life totally different. There's some benefit and there's some downside. And that's why I became a nomad, especially for a season. So I have to remind myself that, in these moments of, psychological and emotional torment, when you want to do something, but there's roadblocks, or there's impatience, or there's failure. This is a part of the human experience, but we have to bring back into perspective, like how I was reading the comments from that one person, that obviously they're having a lot tougher time in life than I am. And, you should never allow someone to guilt trip you, but you should always allow yourself to be put back into a perspective of, the big picture. Mary Taz, I'm good. It's frustrating, but I'm not giving up on my dream. There you go. Yep. And, what I've learned in life is a big part of your dream is just your daily routine. Buying a house in Florida will not make you go to the beach. It will not make you walk or go to the gym or eat healthier or whatever. Just be magical. It will only complement the lifestyle you've already put in place. And you can do that lifestyle if you rent, if you nomad. Owning a home is strictly a financial allocation of your resources. Yes, it has some psychological benefit, possibly an equity benefit, but there is not this major universe changing that sometimes we feel there is. Because there's certainly downside, there's certainly, some negatives. Tony, what's up, brother? How are the MILFs at Starbucks looking lately, Samuel? Yeah, good to see you, Tony. I always say the baristas are on point overall. And the Starbucks people have been treating me good ever since I left that one Starbucks that the lady was a fanatic about the plastic cup. She wasn't treating me good. What I've learned in life is that if I don't vibe with someone and if I'm not celebrated, I don't try to fight it. I just move on, because I'm not, as a middle-aged man, I don't want to fight people to like me. or to understand me, and I don't want to fight them. And look, sometimes I just take the L. Again, I'm the customer. I wasn't asking for anything from this lady that wasn't proper. But for whatever reason, she's a certain way. So what do? I'm not going to make a big issue. Just going to move on with my life. Because to me, I got bigger issues in life that I'm looking to accomplish than to getting a tit for tat. Adam, wondered what happened. Yeah, the internet went out. But what I've learned in my 4 years on YouTube is every so often you're going to want to quit YouTube. I wanted to quit last night, but I didn't. Kept showing up. I'll be close to 21,000 subscribers. Your internet's going to be bad. Some of your videos are not going to come out as planned, but I'm consistent. And at this point, I'm certainly not going to give up unless there's a major issue. But it's a mental, having a YouTube channel, not just for a couple months, not just for a couple of years, but for several years. Guys, it's a mental battle, and most people won't do it. Just like most people, they start like a bat out of hell with the nomad life, and then long term they won't do it because it's just like anything. Like when you first start a job, you're fired up, but then after the long term, it's like you get tired of it, you get bored. So, but I have to remember that in life, what has got me to a certain place. It's the fact that even though sometimes I do it in my mind, I do it kicking and screaming. In real life, I do it. I do it being pleasant, positive. Again, YouTube's a little different. Sometimes there's some negativity, but for me, I just keep doing my thing, and I keep persevering because I know the only person I can change is me. I know for me that I give people what I would want. Some people like it, some people don't. But most of all, what I've learned in YouTube, what I've learned through human nature is most people want someone to talk to. Some people want someone to holler at. Some people want someone to get with. But for the most part, like I say, a lot of my videos have nothing to do with what I just said. People just want to see an RV review. They just want to see part of Florida. People want to have some of their dreams sparked, some of their intellect tingled, some of their emotions fired up, and some of their rage to come, someone to beat up. Twisted, you are a legend. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. But I don't consider myself above anyone, but I don't consider myself beneath anyone. At this point in life, man, I'm just trying to get through each day. And remember that, when you go through a setback, a failure, or you don't get something you want, you just have to remember that you take life one day at a time, and all we're doing is trying to get through each day. Because at the end of the day, we're all leaving this world with the same thing we came in this world, which is nothing. And so don't get too obsessed. Some of my relationships that I failed, you get too obsessed with someone, and the opposite reaction happens than what you want. $10 super chat. I'm glad I showed up, and I'm glad I kept trying to reboot the live feed. Didn't give up. Keith, thank you, brother. You didn't get on base, but you're still in the game. I'm trying. And you're where you want to be. That's true. Love you, Sam. Well, I love you too, Keith. You've been very kind to me. A lot of you have. Thank you, Keith. I hope you get that back to you tenfold. I hope you get out of Indiana, because I know that's your desire, just like it was a desire to me to get out of Florida. I think about that about right now, because next week my hotel stay is up. So I say, I'm getting a little anxious again. Like, what am I going to do? I'm really not going to go back into my car in June now in South Florida. I did it already, but I don't think I want to. So I'm faced with the same choices I was prior. Either I'm going back up north a little early, which I don't see that as I want to, at least at this point, even though the weather is starting to change a little bit up there. I buy something that was on the table today. I missed out on another opportunity. Or I re-up another 30 days in this hotel, or I rent something. So those are options. Andre, Sam, if that's an apartment and does not say anything about 55, Route 1 and the beach, check 55. Every apartment or condo or mobile home that is in South Florida, that is even somewhere by the beach, and I know Route 1 good, they are usually 55 and older, even if they don't say it in the listing, because there's pretty much nothing under 100,000 The only exceptions is if they're age restricted, meaning you need to be 55 or older to own in there. So, but I appreciate, Andre, you sharing that information. I appreciate you supporting me, brother. Thank you again, Keith. Thank you, Twister. Thank you, Tony. Great to see you, Mary Toss. Hal, it's great to see you, man. I hope you're doing good with that new apartment. Love to you, Adam. And my man, Infinity. Infinity, what's up, brother? You still looking to sell a condo? Yeah, I mean, I looked at some campgrounds. There's some campgrounds open now in Florida. In South Florida, the campgrounds become more available starting in June, July, certainly August and September, and they don't start to get packed up again until November, December. So you'd be okay if you were living the nomad life with a travel trailer. And I certainly think about that. But again, I certainly say to myself, uh, in the winter, I'd be screwed because if you don't have reservations, um, and you couldn't even book a reservation right now for next winter with a state park. You'd have to go to a private park. If you don't have locked in reservations, and they're going to be about $1,000 a month minimum for an RV lot, you're not going to winter in South Florida. You may winter in Ocala, Florida, in the Panhandle. You're not going to winter by the beach without reservations unless you get very lucky. So I've kind of been through that cycle of looking at that option. And that's why I kind of went back to, for me, if I know that I'm staying in a certain area, it just makes sense to buy if I can find something under 150,000. I would really like to be closer to 100, but the current market, I mean, I'd be fortunate to find something at 150. Again, the average house right now is 350. So, but as a single person, again, I don't need much. I just want to buy in an overall nice community, overall by the beach, and one thing I kind of went through with the condo, Andre, and everyone listening, is that I think I've kind of eliminated again condos. Why? Because I really don't think I want to be attached. I don't want to have shared walls or shared ceiling. Even in this hotel a little bit, not really I'm not a big fan of that. The mobile home lots or the RV lots, they are, in close proximity to their neighbor, but they're not attached. And, if you have a leak, if they have a leak, if you bang on your walls, there's a little bit more independence. So I think I've kind of gone back to that option. I'm really not I do have an option right now. Tomorrow I can make an offer on a $150,000 RV lot. The only problem with that does not include an RV cost, which would be like another 20K. So then I'm back to 170K, which is, I really would have liked to have been lower than that. So this is just part of where we're at in 2021. Do I think it'll be like this in 2022? I have a hard time believing it'd be the same lack of supply and the same amount of demand. I really do. I don't know the future though. No one does. But I have to remind myself, and I want you to remind yourself, when you are in a situation where you're priced out of something, or when you break up with someone, you still have to keep your sanity. I mean, you still have to keep your rationality. You still have to keep your self-control. You can try to go kicking and screaming and go over emotional, but that's not the answer to life. It's a dangerous state of mind to be that desperate. I've been there. Like I say, never go begging for someone to let you back in their life, and never go begging to buy a house. That's my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying you may not have to pay more than you want, but I'm saying take a step back, man. Because, like I say, man, I've been on the road for 4 years, and, certainly I'm not going to recommend my lifestyle for everyone, but I'm just going to say I've learned that you don't need much to do what you want to do each day, or whether that's just to go walk by the beach, whether that's just to, do whatever it is that makes you happy during the day. Fish, boat. I don't know. Everyone's different. Climb a mountain. I don't know. Maybe it's just raise a family. Maybe for you it's just go to work, come home, watch YouTube, have a nice meal. That's a great day for a lot of people. Do what they need to do. Come home, have a great food, and sit back and watch some entertainment. So, as I get older and as I've been through more things in life, this grand idea that a great life is you, like, every day you're doing like this great thing. That's not the reality for 99% of the population. Most of the population, a great day is maintaining your health, probably doing something you don't want to do, whether that's work or an errand or a chore. And then at the end of the day, you're relaxing and you're eating and you also do a hobby, whether your hobby is going to the beach, working out, or some combination of all those things. And so the daily routine is not connected necessarily to a house, owning it. You can still do the daily routine that totally inspires you and rent a house and or nomad. So this is what needs to be said as you get into this housing market that we're currently in, because it is very much, not easy to find something affordable or below your means or something that you want. Adam, just got home about 40 minutes ago, drove about 500 miles, that's a lot, today to visit my brother and his family and my 16-year-old son. I'm tired of being on the road today. Well, I totally empathize, man. That's a long drive, from New Jersey to Florida, it's about, depending on where you go, it's about 1,200, 1,500 miles. So you drove about half that. So it was like you drove from New Jersey to North Carolina. And that's a long day. Then you have to deal with other people. And then, no. So one thing that I do want to, one of the reasons I want to get off the road is because I am tired of driving that much. And I do want some isolation from the public. And while the open road is exciting, it's also dangerous to drive. It's also can become burdensome. And like I say, I think there's so many interactions you have with people on the road, cutting you off, driving, going in and out of rest stops to go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. You need some time by yourself. Now, is it more of a lethargic life, when you're in a house, apartment, or a hotel or whatever? Yeah, it's a little bit more laid back. There's not a high intensity, but so, it all depends, but I'm certainly not looking to go back to the intensity where, it's 90 degrees and I'm in the back of the Jeep. I doubt that if I go back full-time nomad, as far as, even though now I'm a full-time nomad, don't have a home, but if I go back full-time in a car, I don't know if I'll do it the height of the summer in South Florida. I don't know if I want to do it because the risk reward is just not worth it. That's what I go back to. It's like, it's just not worth it for me at this point. So, Keith, thank you again. If you guys haven't, please click the thumbs up. I'll leave a comment below. Twista says, rest well, Adam. I agree. Adam, you're a positive person. Appreciate your positivity, man. Maritas. Rest, Adam. I've driven along before and it wears you out. Yep, it was very dangerous. Adam, thanks. Tomorrow's a stressful day. Got to do a Zoom meeting and with a judge to finish up my guardianship of my parents. Well, I'm glad you shared. We're going to pray for you, think about you. Try to stay positive. Just take notes. Let the judge talk. And that's what I would recommend off the top of my head. And, the hardest part about anything is showing up, whether it's a video or work or anything. Keith, thank you again, brother. He goes, good luck, Sam. Good luck, Adam, excuse me. Took care of my parents for 2 years. God bless you, man. My dad has passed away and my mom is in assisted living. Pray for you. Well, thank you, Keith, for sharing that, man. That's encouraging to hear someone else's testimony about their life. And, that's what I had to reflect on, man, when I was getting a little bit down. I read that person's comment that they said, they left on my video, I think having a kid is selfish. They said, well, I think so too, because my parents gave me and my sibling up, and I guess they were they weren't in foster, but they went to a relative that pretty much didn't really take care of them. So, you're fortunate in life if you have parents. You're fortunate in life if you live in a first world country where there is assisted living, where there is nursing homes, and I think in many times those are probably better than you being a full-time caretaker, because what I've seen is that can become unhealthy depending on the circumstance, there's a lot of individual circumstance there. Adam says, thanks, Keith. Amen. But yeah, I don't know how many people watching me are in the housing market. I know Mary Taz is. If you want to leave a comment below, I know Infinity is thinking about hitting the road, so he's going to sell at the right time, so that's going to be positive. And I know some of you are looking to move to Florida. Some of you are nomads, and you're saying you better get back in that car, you bastard. But yeah, I don't know, man. Um, I'm certainly not anxious how I was when I was like at the verge of buying that condo, and that's a good thing. Like now, it's been like a month since that opportunity passed. Do I regret not getting that condo? Because I went from not regretting it to regretting it, and now, well, I think it was a good price, because it's right around 100,000. So that's very hard to find. But I still don't think I fully regret it because I do go back to this point that I don't know if my dream is to be in a condo with connected walls and not on the beach. It wasn't on the beach. My dream was kind of the RV lot or the mobile home lot right on the beach, not connected. Now, does it matter? Well, but I don't want to be above my means. I don't want to, because I have to live life that, if I get laid off from my main job, if YouTube stopped or if YouTube dip, I could do DoorDash. I could have YouTube. I have a side hustle until I get another main job. But even if I lost my main job at the age of 40, I'll be 41 soon. I'd still have to get another main job, regardless. Even if I buy no house, at least for another 10 years or so. Now, hopefully, I keep my main job. Hopefully, there's no issue. I love the people I work with, but I think about that because I don't want to be in a position where I was when I owned a house. I lost my job and I was getting screwed. So that's kind of like one of the things that haunts me and brings some, but it's good, because that kind of keeps me from going too quick to the trigger. But again, at the age of 41, even if you have no home and you're a nomad, I wouldn't just not go back to have a main job because I still have to build up my retirement, my Social Security, and yeah, and so that's kind of like so that's why I said to myself too, like Sam, it does feel good though not being attached to anything. There's that give and a take. Tony says, oh hey, Tony leaves a good comment here. Let's see. Tony says 2 years ago my work situation was bad. I remember you told me that. Felt I'd get canned any day. Bad anxiety. But I kept hearing your voice keep showing up. Thank you, man. Keep showing up. Now, work and my mental health is going great. All caps. That's a great comment. Tony, Sam's coaching helped me through tough times. Well, Tony, you did the work, man. But I appreciate the encouraging word. I do. It matters to me, man. You've been very gracious to me. Very encouraging, very positive. So thank you, Tony. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely feel encouraged if one of the messages out of my videos that people got is show up, self-care, live below your means, healthy relationships. At all the screaming and Latina MILFs and all that stuff is part of life too. That's what I really want to communicate because that's what's going to help you. All the other stuff is just entertainment. And entertainment is good. You need entertainment. You need laughs. You need visuals. You need to see Florida. You need to see RVs. You need honest perspectives. It's just my perspective. It doesn't mean it's, some of this is not fact. It's just through my perspective. And then you need to, obviously walk your own walk, but again, I go back. If someone would say, like Tony just said, and I appreciate that, if what they get from my videos is I got to show up to do what I got to do, self-care, take care of my physical and mental health, good relation, I think that all you did was empower yourself, and you did it. So congratulations, Tony, and thank you, man. Twisted, thank you, Tony, for sharing. I agree. Twisted, I needed to hear that. Thumbs up to you, Twisted. You've been positive too. Mary Toss, I think it's about taking one day at a time. I totally agree. Excellent comment, Mary Toss. Thumbs up to you. There's no doubt about that. I think life is like that. That we have to take it one day at a time. All your interactions with people, we tend to latch on to the negative interactions, and that's what gets someone down, and that's what makes them stop showing up. And then they have this negative algorithm, this negative cycle, where they reflect on the bad interactions with people, then they don't do anything because they want to just be away from everyone. Then their life gets worse, and then how do you get out of that hole? You don't. So that's why I tell you, when you have a bad day, show up the next day. Why? Because you're human. You're gonna have bad days. I wish I didn't. I wish you didn't. But fuck it. Hey, look. Like I said, if someone's looking to crucify you, they're going to crucify you no matter what. But it's and look, sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes you're wrong. You say, look, I'm wrong. It is what it is, and that's it. What can you do? You experience all these things in life, but like I say, don't stop showing up. Don't stop going after what you want, because if you're gonna let failure or a mistake, if you're gonna let that stop you, everything in life you're gonna quit, because I don't know anything in life that doesn't have that. Again, a Major League Baseball player is in the Hall of Fame if he hits the ball 30% of the time. That means 70% of the time he fails. So, like I say, guys, to me, I'll keep showing up, and overall, I believe it's a positive message. I don't need to be guilt tripped. I don't need, but I appreciate the encouragement. That's what I would say. And like I always say, what I go back into my mind is, someone doesn't like me, then they don't have to watch. And if they still watch, then to me it shows that they want to change me, and they're not the type of people I want in my life. But they'll still watch, because that's the type of relationships they have. Maybe they saw that with their parents. Maybe they're abusing drugs. Maybe they're mentally ill. Either way, that's not my fault. I didn't do that to them. I'm just doing my channel. And again, if they don't like it, if they're not an adult to be able to stop watching, I'm not their parent. I'm not their guardian. I'm a YouTuber. I'm a regular man, human, flawed, some talent, some flaws. So. But that's part of saying, look, you want YouTube, you want a career, you want anything in life, then you better be willing to take the hits. Because if you think they're going to roll the red carpet out for you, whether you want to work at Walmart, Wall Street, or YouTube or anything, if you think they're going to just roll it out and you're not going to get resistance, it's like saying, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym and it's not going to get resistance. But every time you get out of the gym, you feel better. And every time you show up and someone wants you to quit just to prove a point, you know it. You nailed them, okay? Because they want you to quit. They want you to give up so that you can go sit next to them on the bench. There's a couple type of people on the bench. Some people, they're role players, and they say, you know what? Keep doing it. And they're going to have their shot. They're going to get in the game, because but let them get in the game with the right team attitude. Some people want you to break your leg so they can get in the game. And like I tell you, as soon as you can, get off that team. Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Life's hard enough. You don't need people who want you to fail, so their insecurities get covered up, and then you can be in this guilt trip mode where, oh, you have to apologize for everything. Oh, you can't be yourself. Now, sometimes you got to apologize, and I've apologized, and I've tried to curb some behavior. But at the same time, you're never going to get someone to change who they are as far as like the essence. And if that's what someone's looking for, then they're looking basically at a house that they can never afford, because it's just not meant for them. Good comment. Love to you guys and girls. Back to, Tony shared some good stuff. Tony said, there was one video in particular, Sam was really serious and fired up, and he really challenged us. I remember he said, keep showing up 3 times in a row. Thank you. Really remembered that. Well, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing. I remember hearing that through different leadership training or different mentors I had. It was pretty much said that you have to repeat something several times before it's truly heard. And it's truth, because humans need repetition, and they also need a visual example. And so I try to remember that, because that's what I need too. I'm human. So thank you, Tony, man. Twisted. Honestly, Sam, you saved my life day by day. Well, I appreciate that. Again, I don't want to take too much credit for what you guys are doing. I'm grateful for the encouragement. I don't want to, I just want to say thank you. I also want to acknowledge your efforts in what you did for yourself, Twisted. I've been in a really dark place recently. Well, it's understandable, and I appreciate you sharing it. I don't think you get through this life without being in these dark places, depression. Shout out to my viewer D, who has shared about that. Yeah, look, as I get older, guys, my mom had told me today, because I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm a little bit down because I missed out on another home base, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, I said, I don't know how many times I can go through this. And she goes, Sam, seek God, keep the faith. And, and now as a middle-aged man, I used to have, I still have a lot of faith, but it's kind of become, But when I hear my mom say that, it's still something that says, remember to keep the faith. Because to be honest with you, as a middle-aged man, I question, God and everything at this point. It's very hard to stay hopeful and positive because you just go through more in life, you deal with more people, you fail yourself, I failed myself, and you say to yourself, man, I don't know what type of God would make this world. I'm not saying that's the right way to think, but I think that, and then I said to myself, yeah, be thankful for everything you have, and try to keep, and I do, but it's hard, I mean, and I can empathize with everyone out there who has the same struggle, and maybe they have more obstacles than me. I'm sure there's plenty. And, it's a challenge, I don't have the answer. I don't, but I try overall to stay positive. Um, because I don't want to live a negative life. Even though negativity is part of life, I don't want to be consumed with it. Um, and that's not easy as you get older. I think about all the people who go through divorce, all the people that go through losing their children before they die. I think about all these people that have, in many instances, more burdens than me. I was looking at the other day. There was this tight end, I think, in the NFL, Greg Olson, and I was on a news feed, came up one of these sports articles, and he was this football player in the NFL, and he married this his wife, this good-looking girl, and I saw it. Here's a guy, right? Because you see a picture of them, and then there's the news story. So you see the picture of two good-looking people, famous, wealthy, and their family smiling. But as I read the article was about, I guess, their son needs a heart transplant, and their son's like 4 years old or whatever, something like that. I don't know. And I said to myself, damn, see, here it is. You could be good looking, you could have a lot of money, but that's still a serious issue that it may not even get resolved, even with money, even with everything that they have. So, here I am complaining that the housing market is too high. Again, as I started the live feed, you have to, when you go through these situations of not getting something you want, you have to take a step back and you have to look at what you do have. Because when you want something, you tend to look past what you have. And then you have to look at what's the big deal. Okay. Look, can house prices keep going up? Would you be stuck renting or whatever? Would that change a huge part of life? Especially for me, not really. And many of you may either own now, so you're getting equity, or you're just looking to go from one state to another. So yeah, it's not a huge thing. And I'm not a believer, unless you can financially afford it, to buy two houses. So, unless you can financially afford it, I would not recommend buying another house before you sell your current one, because then, it's just too much liability. Tony, I hear you, Twister. Adam. Good evening, guys. Catch you tomorrow. Adam, we're going to pray for you at that meeting. Love to you, man. Twister. Thank you, Tony. Mary Toss. Sleep well, Adam. Twister. Good night, Adam. Tony. Let me approve this. Tony goes, going to watch some porn. Good job, man. And relax now at the end of the day for the win. Well, that's self-care. I think everyone out there that wants to should watch some porn, masturbate, release. Your body has a reproductive system it needs to release, just like your body has a digestive system, a circulatory system. You need to function, or else you're going to get backed up. I watched Asumni earlier today, and it was great. I feel a lot more relaxed afterwards. Usually, when I get out of the gym and I got all the testosterone pumping and got that vitamin D, I'm revved up. And for me, that's how you control your lust. There's a scripture that says, if you can't control your lust, get married. Well, I say in a world of free porn, there's no reason you can't control your lust. So, again, I think there's a lot of positive to being single. You may not have some physical intimacy, but if you look at most people who are married, they don't have it either after a long period of time, and they have a lot more responsibilities. So I'm not saying everyone should be single, But I'm saying, like Paul the Apostle said, many of you would do good to be single, okay, like I am. And you would be also good to remember that when you're priced out of the housing market, you're single, okay? You can rent. You don't need a big house. You don't really even need to own. It's cherry on the top. So go watch your porn and smile away. Good job, Tony. Very proud of you, man. Twisted. I found something you said yesterday very interesting. You said that we can't escape the negative psychopaths. It's true. Because this is the devil's realm, all 100. I'm paraphrasing, you got it. But could you go more into depth? Well, yeah, I mean, well, one is, I guess if you believe in a level of spirituality, no matter what religion, you kind of believe that humanity is at this fallen state. Whether you believe that it's because Adam ate the apple and that's like a parable or that's an actual story that happened, that man, for whatever reason, separated from God for his own desires and he didn't listen to God. So, because of that, basically the whole earth is cursed and humanity is in a state of suffering until we go back to be with God. Do I believe in that? I'm not sure. At this point, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know why it is. But that's kind of, no matter what religion, because most of the major religions, I don't know Hinduism too well, but the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, and even the Muslim faith, they all kind of believe in a level of the Torah, and that's pretty much the opening book of Genesis, where it speaks of the fall of humanity. Now, because I guess if you don't believe in that, you believe that we were created maybe through a Big Bang theory, which is still not fact, it's a theory, was that there was this huge explosion of matter, and we were all just created, and just so happens we all have our own fingerprint. There's very unique attributes, even though we're all very similar. And maybe there's a higher being, maybe there's aliens. We have some people who believe in that they're the higher life form, we're the lower life form. I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think anyone can tell you with 100% certainty, whether it's me, Elon Musk, or Gandhi, or whoever. No one can tell you with 100% certainty. It takes faith. So, all I could say is the simple answer is, if you look at it, there's no way we're in heaven, right? Because if we're in heaven, why is there suffering? Can't be, right? So if we're not in heaven, either we're not in hell or we're in some type of middle dimension. And the problem I have at this point is, I feel a little bit like, we have to prove ourselves to God? What is this, a game? Like if you read the book of Job, where Job had like everything, he had everything initially, then he had everything stripped from him, then he got it back. But if you also read that book, God and the devil basically said, look, let's see what we can do to this guy. And God allowed him to do it, just like put some restrictions on it. So I don't know if I believe in that. Like, what kind of God would talk to the devil and allow the devil to do bad things, even if he restored him? I don't know, man. I question the whole thing, I'm thankful to God, and I recognize God has definitely touched my life, and he's been with me. So I don't want to be blasphemous against what I can honestly say that I've experienced. But as I get older, like Moses, I get more bitter, because there's no way I can understand it, and I even have a hard time staying positive in it, because, again, as you get older, you've failed more, and other people have failed you more, and you failed them. There's this whole realm of just more memories, more bad things, some good things too, but you get tired of it, but you have to try to keep the faith. You got to try to stay positive. I certainly don't want to go negative, because I just don't see the value. I mean, but I'm not gonna lie to you, if life got hard enough, would I go negative? I see why people take themselves out. I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't recommend it. I try to avoid it myself, but it's just life. Most people struggle with this, and you could say, well, why do most people struggle with it in a first world country? Well, I just think they have more time maybe to think about it, right? Like, it's like, when you're in a survival mood, you're so busy surviving that you're not analyzing. And when you have basic survival things given to you in a first world country, you got first world problems. You're priced out of a housing market, but you're never going to starve to death. Either you're going to go with subsidized housing, or you're going to buy a house that maybe you don't like, or you're going to have a high mortgage payment. You know, you're not going to, die out there unless you want to, unless you want to be a nomad. So I don't know why. That's the bottom answer, but I tried to run through some scenarios in a little bit of depth. But what I've also learned is don't go down that rabbit hole too far. I think you should question it, but then you have to pull yourself back, and because then you just end up this endless hole that no matter how much you think about it, you're never going to figure it out. It's like I often say, like, when you're feeling down and depressed, you can't outthink depression. All you can do is keep doing self-care, keep waking up at a relatively good time, don't sleep too late, don't take naps, exercise, eat healthy, and hope that you can just get through the storm, and on the other side you'll feel happiness again. Now the negative part is there's always going to be, you have to fight again. This whole life is a fight. So shout out to my man Roberto, who had left a comment on one of my videos, talking about, and for him, just getting out of bed is an everyday fight, and I empathize, especially as you get older. I empathize. Um, so again, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people just want to be distracted, and I understand that too. A lot of people, just talking about this is too painful for them. So for them, they'd rather watch a Disney Channel. They'd rather watch a cartoon. Um, and I'm not saying they're wrong, because to be honest with you, at the end of the day, ignorance is bliss. But I also like wisdom. I don't want to live in ignorance, but I also don't want to try to make sense of everything, because there's no making sense of everything. Hopefully that helped. Keith says, remember God brought animals to Adam before he showed Eve. Maybe he's taking you through some looks before the great one comes up. Yeah, I don't know, Keith. And then with the animal things, right? People, I don't know, people say we have, in the Old Testament, they allowed the sacrifice of lambs. You kill a lamb just to please God. So do I believe in that? I don't know, man. It's like, and then they even justified it in Christianity, where they said God give us dominion over animals. So we could do whatever. We could kill animals for food. We could do. So I don't know. When does it end? Right? Do I believe in that anymore? And now we're an advanced civilization. We could probably figure out a way where we could get protein, where we could get meat-like food, and not kill animals. So there's this whole dimension that you go down. Twisted. Thank you, Sam. Your perspective is deeply appreciated. Well, I appreciate the question, man. Love to you also, Twisted. Even though I live one day at a time, sometimes it feels like the days aren't stopping. Yeah, again, you got to stay busy, whether you're retired, whether you're working, single, married. I mean, you certainly don't want to just work and then never enjoy life. That's not wisdom. It's not. It's just not. It's not worth it. But again, even if you've been fortunate enough where you are retired, or you're single and you have more time than someone who's married with 3 children, you still have to allocate time, because idle time is the devil's playground. And that's why I believe that you still want to structure your day. Because if not, then what you do is you go to like Zillow.com or Realtor.com, and your whole day is just consumed with fantasizing about houses, or fantasizing about stocks, or fantasizing about a star, obsessed with a girl or obsessed with a guy. And sometimes I think about, when it comes to housing market, my dating experiences. And what my dating experiences have taught me is that if you finally get the person, you're going to realize it could have benefit, but it also has responsibility, it also has work. And a lot of times you feel like, I remember one girl I broke up with, I said, God, why me? I said that today when I lost out on this house. I said, why, what am I doing? I said, I'm trying to do everything right. But now I look back, I thank God I never got with that girl to a next level. So 10 years from now, I'll be thankful I didn't get the home base I missed out on today, probably. Um, am I happy about being in this game where we're just like, if I just look, it's almost 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so in an hour or so, I'll take a hot shower like Tony. I'll put my baby powder on, my lotion, a small thing of Fahrenheit oil in my nostrils, and I'll go to sleep. And tomorrow's another day. You're never going to think, no matter how deep of a philosopher you are, and I like to think I'm an analyzer. Um, you're not going to figure out life, and so you go back to just get through the day, try to stay positive. You're going to take some L's in life. You're going to lose some people. You're going to lose some opportunities. You're going to lose some money. I pray none of us lose our health at a major point. That's very hard. I know people that have. And, but again, just go back to what you're thankful for. Try to get through the day. Try to experience the day, which doesn't matter if you own a home. I went to the beach today. Does it matter if I own a home? I could still go to the beach. I did everything I wanted to do today, and for that I'm grateful. And even when you do everything you want, humans, we're always looking for something else to stimulate us. So we have to be careful that we learn to calm ourselves. Twista says, even though I live one day at a time, sometimes it feels like the days aren't stopping. I can understand. Twista, but I'm very grateful for all my blessings. There you go. This I'm sure of. I could definitely tell you have a positive attitude, and you've been blessed with that. Now, I know it's hard sometimes for people who are positive, where you get hurt and, you're just tired of being positive. Someone who's very positive can go very negative because you can only, you put yourself out there so much, you can only take so much. Now, I've also learned, though, that sometimes when people are negative, it's not necessarily that they're evil. It's just like that's their level of communication. Whether that's how their DNA was, and that's how their mind processes information. So I try to remember that as I'm maturing here. I'm still struggling with this. Obviously, look, I don't want to spend a lot of time around negative people because I'm trying to fight my own negative thoughts. I don't need. But I vent my negative thoughts sometimes, but I mainly vent them on YouTube. And even them, I think overall my thoughts are positive. But all I can tell you is this: you're not going to vibe with everyone, all right? And it doesn't mean you're right and they're wrong, or vice versa. But in life, you don't want to fight your inner circle because you're going to spend enough time in life fighting yourself. Okay. So the last thing you need to do is fight yourself and please other people, and you're gonna, certainly in life, you're gonna go further if you're more pleasant to deal with at your job, in your daily, like today, I had to wait a little bit extra at the store, kind of unfairly. Someone kind of like skipped ahead of me a little bit. The cashier was being a little bit slow on something. And I said to myself, man, I could say something to this person in front of me. I could say something to the cashier. But then I said to myself, I play out the whole scenario. It's not going to make a big difference, and it's certainly not going to enhance my life or really change a lot. So again, you pick and choose your battles, and sometimes you just have to be patient. I struggle with that. I've never liked crowds. I'm not that great with patience, and that's why I like to be a loner, because I rather hold myself up, make my own mistakes, than hold someone else up, and I don't want someone holding me up. I don't want to be unfair to them. I don't want to have something unfair to me. I'd rather control my own destiny more, and that's why I want to be single till I die. So no pets, no kids, none of that. That's just me. I'm not saying I'm right, And but I said to myself, it was almost like a snapshot of my day. I'm sitting there waiting, and I said, Sam, you just got to be patient. I'm always looking like, well, what can I do? Like sometimes a nomad mind too. It's like, oh, I don't like this area. I'm gonna start my car and go. And sometimes you should. But sometimes what a lot of nomads do in error is they don't stay long enough to build something. I'm not talking about buying a house. They don't stay long enough to build their career. They don't stay long enough to build whatever skill sets they need to develop. Sometimes in life, you can't always just bounce around. That's a big negative, man. Sometimes you got to be patient and fight through some of this refining. This has not necessarily anything to do with a house. This has to do about developing yourself. People who just run from one thing to another, they don't develop, So that's kind of what I felt tonight. And buying something had nothing to do with it. It was just about being in that store, and I try to avoid having to wait longer than I have to, which is wisdom. But there's some times in life you have no choice, and if you try to avoid being patient, you're going to suffer highly more than you need to. So I said, Sam, the only option here, or the only wise option, is just to be patient and keep your mouth shut. And you know what I did? I was patient and I kept my mouth shut. And you know what? I'm sitting here 10 o'clock at night and I'm better for it. And that's a big lesson tonight, you know. Mary Toss. I will never go back to being married. I can understand that. I love being single. And that is what keeps me going. I could totally empathize. When I wake up the next day, I try to be grateful for everything in my life. Well, Mary Toss, I could feel your positivity. Thank you. She goes, I have a hard time being around people who are down because I feel their pain and it takes me down. I can totally agree with that too. Um, Energy matters, man. You know, it's like and you got to be around energy that is reciprocal and it's understood. Everyone has energy. When your heart beats, it produces energy. When your blood's flowing, that's the energy life form. You know, it's delivering oxygen and nutrients to your cells. And when the heart stops pumping, if you're ever in the hospital and you're hooked up to a machine, the sine wave of your energy goes flatline. Like if you're ever in electrical field, when you hook up electrical tester, there's like 60 hertz, which is like a sine wave, right? So all electricity is energy, you know what I mean? And so, but when there's no energy, guys, there's no sine wave. And it's the same thing when you're hooked up on like a machine in the hospital. When you go flatline, you're not producing energy. So I say all that to say people give off energy, you know what I mean? And sometimes, for whatever reason, you're not in sync with that person's energy and they're not in sync with yours. And what I've learned in life, it doesn't necessarily mean one person's right, one's wrong. It just means you're going to clash. And I don't want to be around people I'm clashing with, because I don't want to clash. Now, sometimes, again, there's times that you have to work through that clash because, you can't always be in sync with everyone. You're never going to develop as a person. You're never going to develop the skill sets needed to use your gifts, or you're never going to be a humble person. Because if you just go around and you're only able to work through people you vibe with, you're going to think highly of yourself than you really are. Because sometimes the interactions with the people we're out of sync with, it shows us error in our own ways and something that we have to be accountable for and correct or try you know, but again, that's an interaction, not your inner circle. Because it's certainly if that becomes your inner circle, then you're always going to like be apologizing for something. And then, whatever. But sometimes you should apologize for something because sometimes you're wrong, I'm wrong. Um, and that's why, again, there's this balance that we're working through in life to uh, to become our best self. It is all these things. It's patience. It's um, seeing where we could improve. Also, not staying where we're not celebrated, but not being around people that just always are treating us with grandeur. There's this balance, and this is not easy. But it's a life journey. Christina, hey Christina, one of my newest members. Shout out to you. She goes, in a philosophical way, God gave us this beauty, a world to care for and develop. We got a brain, it's true. We have a common long way from killing lambs. Yeah, we've come a long way from that. That's true. No, when I get down on humanity, that's a good point, Christina. I do look back at human history and I say, look at us now in 2021 verse 1821, where the life expectancy was lower. You were considered a hero if you were some cowboy just killing people for survival. And, now all the modern amenities in most first world countries, all the advancements, even with the negative parts, the disagreements and the problems in society, on average, humanity itself has come a long way. However, it's still tough to see that in certain aspects it hasn't, but it has. I mean, that's a fair point. So that's something we have to consider too. You're right, Keith. I'm enjoying these days off. Well, you should. You should enjoy the fruits of your labor, even if that means something as simple as having peaceful days off, being able to have money in the bank, and not overwork yourself. finding that balance of earning money at the same time having time and peace to enjoy your money, even if all that money does is allow you to rest without worrying or whatever, like I say, we have to balance those things, so it's good. I'm glad for you, man. Twisted. Hey, Sam. Unfortunately, I have to go a little early tonight. No, that's great. I appreciate you coming in. Have a good night, everyone. You too. Thank you. Keith. You too, Twisted. Mary Toss. Have a good night, Twister. Hal. Hey, you're still here, man. I love you, man. He goes, I feel like I have these last 2 weeks left until I'm back to work. Okay. I have to get my last bit of fun out. I didn't go camping this weekend. I just stayed home and took care of my house. Well, one is I'm very proud of you with the rental, Hal, and taking that first step. And like I say, one thing is you're a very positive person. You stayed, you stayed on this channel. To me, you fought through a lot of things, and I just, I know that you have what it takes because you're just very positive. Like I say, I know you've shared sometimes. Sometimes you feel like that's abused, and I can empathize with that. And hopefully I've encouraged you more than if I hurt you. And like I said, I believe that you will figure it out. Because I believe, yeah, look, it's true. Positive people still suffer. But I still do believe, and on average, I still see it, that if you stay positive, you won't blow up and you'll be a little bit more patient. And even though sometimes someone will skip in front of you at the line and you'll get a little bit, you're still probably better off than if you always made an issue of everything. So, again, that's a thin line, because I do believe you have to speak up for yourself. I do believe you have to correct people at times, and sometimes we get corrected ourselves. So again, we always speak of this balance. But I say all that to say how you're a positive person. You're trying your best to build your life, and I believe that you will. And I believe just the accomplishment of you securing your own apartment is an accomplishment, because that's not easy. You got to, like, you got to go through the approval process, moving out on your own. You were with your girl, you were with your mom, getting separated from that, being on your own. That's a lot of work, and emotionally, financially. And so, but because you have done it before, you had moved up in the hotel industry, and you're able to do what you're doing now. You have a level of intelligence, a high level. You have a great personality, people skills. If you said on average, what's the number one thing that someone needs to build their life and their career, I would say people skills. Because I know very intelligent people, they struggle dealing with other people. They're great mechanics, they're great workers, but mentally they get very frustrated with people very quickly, and I understand that. Now sometimes, look, they're lazy and they're like that, but yeah, it's not easy to deal with people. And if you have that gift, and you have it, you're blessed, because that's a gift that no one can teach you that. I mean, certainly someone can refine you, and someone can make a point to discuss the importance of people skills. But you have to have a certain temperament, a certain personality, where you're enlightened enough to know you don't fight every battle. Some things you do speak up for, but some things you let go. And that there's not an exact science, so there has to be a level of just intuition. And for those reasons, like I say, I think you'll be able to navigate life well. I think, like all of us, you're going to have your ups and downs. Like I've often shared with you, I've been in your position. And that's when I really learned, when I got laid off, when I was working electrical union, and there was one time when I was young, I didn't go right away to get another job. I just kind of sat on the books. I collected unemployment. And even though it was good for that season of my life, and again, I didn't have a family, it wasn't a big deal, but when I wanted to get back into the workforce, or when I had to, when my unemployment was running out, it was harder than it needed to be, because I waited a little bit too long. And I just ended up hurting myself. And I learned that, Sam, remember, and then I was trying to scramble to get a job. I debt to pay. It was a disaster. And I remember saying, and this is part of like my whole reason now I live simple and I try to stay on top of things because I remember that period in my life, man, and I was like, man, everyone is pretty much can do it. Everyone could tell me what to do, take advantage because I need everyone's help or I need help. And I felt so out of control, man, like so weak. And not that money makes you, but I could have changed it. I could have just, as soon as I got laid off, I could have, took a couple of weeks to lick my wounds, but then I could have got back on the horse, could have did other things, and I just wasn't that aggressive. And it screwed me, man. And I said, I'm going to learn from this, So, back to live comments. Mary Taz. Someone once told me that if I get stuck in feelings or situation, just take the next right step. Yeah, again, we're all human. So failure is going to come to us all. If you're humble enough to understand that, it's just the way it is. It sucks. I hate failing. I hate being wrong. But sometimes we are. So what do you say? I was wrong. And what do you do next? You make the next right step. I mean, you don't sit there and just feel bad about yourself forever or apologize forever or try to make a, you own up to whatever you need to own up to, and then you move on. Yeah, that's it. Anything beyond that is a useless waste of energy. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve society. It doesn't serve the people around you. Obviously, you have to and obviously you have to understand, where you went wrong in order to go right. But outside of that, don't get stuck. How? Been through a lot of these 6 months. Next 6 months is about more growing. I agree. My friends question my decision on not going. They automatically thinking I am sad and depressed. I'm just growing. Yeah, I can understand that, man. I mean, like I say, man. I mean, I'm in a weird place where I don't really. I had friends growing up, some great friends. Um, I really don't talk to any of them now. Kind of by my own selecting, and I like it that way, not because I'm trying to hide or hurt anyone, but I think I want to be on my own the rest of my life, have some virtual friends. But I just think that's the way I feel. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's probably how I'm going to choose to live. And I don't know, man. I think definitely when you're young, friends are important, man. Like I said, I had some great friends. I'm very grateful for them. But I also see that, I don't know, man. And I don't know if I'm wrong that way, but I see the rest of my life. I'll have some virtual friends at a level of the internet. I'll have my mom until she passes. That'd be horrible. Um, but outside of that, man, I think I'm pretty much just, I'm sure I'll meet some people. And I have met already some people in Florida. And I know some, but I'm not going to hang out with anyone, I don't think, who knows, But I say all that to say, one of the hardest parts about life is that you grow apart from people. You grow apart from the friends you grew up with, and it's not that they did something wrong necessarily or you did. It's just life, and you could try to like meet up again and stuff. But my experience is it's a different time. Time is like a river; you can't touch the same spot twice. And the same thing online, and that's been a challenge for me. Like I've had people online, we were cool, and then we weren't, girls and guys, and it's almost like a real life relationship where you feel the sadness and the hurt, but it's like the same thing. You can't go backwards. So and again, I think that's part of life. You're not going to avoid pain. Part of me doing minimalism is like I want to eliminate as much pain as possible, and I'm glad I did. But kind of like I guess where I'm at now with the nomad life is, yeah, I could really try to like just continue to live this lean life, but not like I'm avoiding pain. Staying as a nomad doesn't eliminate all pain. It's just I trade off some pain for some different pain. I mean, the nomad life still is great, man, and I think about that. Well, stay on the road. It's not really bad, but it's like there is some unnecessary things that I'm going through with a primitive life that. Yeah, I mean, owning a property, even if I just choose to rent or even this hotel, it has some negative, but I also want to have some comfort, like Keith was saying. I mean, at this point, if I got to enjoy my journey a little bit more, and enjoy the fruits of my labor a little bit more. And I can still do that while living below my means as long as I stay on top of things. Like I say, I learned that lesson where I got too complacent when I got laid off when I was young, and that started a negative effect where I got behind the eight ball. And once you get behind the eight ball, guys, it's a fucking battle. Someone asked me the other day, and they were a young person, I guess, in their 20s, and they said, well, because I did a video about being out of debt. They said, well, how do I get out of debt? What do you recommend? I said, well, one is, let me just start by saying, again, I'm a 40-year-old man. I've been in debt since I was 18 or 20. It took me 20, 22 years. And for the past 4 years, I've lived out of a car. So, getting out of debt is not going to happen in a couple, I don't know, it depends how much debt you have, right? It's not going to happen quick. So, but you're going to need income. You're going to need to manage your expenses, and you need to stay on top of it. If you don't stay on top of it, don't matter if you own or rent, you're going to get behind the eight ball. Christina says, good for you, Hal. I agree, Christina. Thank you for your positive attitude, Hal. I have been looking up questions that asked on the interview for operations manager for housekeeping in the hospital. Well, I love where you're going with this. What are the requirements and how to kill the interview getting ready? That's awesome. Research is your friend. And I love the industry. Again, I love the medical industry. I love leveraging the fact that you're going to leverage your previous career skill set, your previous role as in like hotel management, hotel customer service, and kind of leverage that into a better industry, away from hospitality and into a hospital means that you're going from, again, hospitality industry into a medical industry. And even if you got the same or lower pay, it's still a step forward. Why? Because long term, once you get into the medical industry, no matter what role, because again, being in the medical industry, you don't need to be a nurse or a doctor, okay? You could be a maintenance tech, you can be an operations manager, you could be a project manager, you could be an administrative office person. There's so many roles within the medical industry, right? So, but you need to get experience. And that's why sometimes in our career paths, we do take a little bit of a step back with regards to pay. But long term, it leverages us forward because we're in an industry that has a lot of upside. There's not a lot of upside in hospitality. Certainly, I'm sure that, like there are people making good money because certainly there's always going to be some positions in every industry that are good, but there's more in others than some, right? It was the same thing for me as electrician. I came to the point where I said, yeah, I could be an electrician, and when you're working, you make good money. When you're not, you're not. You could certainly do side work, and certainly the skill set of being an electrician is great. But when I had got out of just working as an electrician, and when I got into like on-site maintenance engineering, I was trying to move up. It was like one of my first jobs outside of just working as an electrician. But I was still very not experienced. I didn't really know how to write emails. My first email, there was a lot of caps. I didn't really understand project management. I really didn't understand budgetary things. And my manager had called me in the office. And he goes, Sam, I like you. He goes, you show up, you got the credentials, you stay out of trouble. I could see you getting promoted. He goes, but, he goes, you can't just think like an electrician. He goes, if you keep thinking just like an electrician, you're only going to be an electrician. You have to start thinking beyond what you know. And you have to start thinking about the whole picture. You have to think about the corporation, their objectives. You have to think about the other vendors. You have to think about what we're trying to accomplish from a budgetary perspective, right? You have to put it all together so that you can go to another level. If not, there's nothing wrong with staying at your level, but that's the only level you'll be at. And you have to ask yourself, what are you trying to do? And for me, I was trying to go to another level because I didn't want to just work with my hands, and I just didn't want to just be in that electrical role. That was a great foundation. It's a great skill set. It's a great trade. And you can make great money. But there's also only so much you're going to do. You're basically going to run MC cable. You're going to run piping. You're going to pull wire. You're going to hang fixtures. Uh, Maybe you'll be a foreman. That's what you're going to do. And many people, they do that. They live a great career, great life. But I didn't want. So you have to ask yourself kind of what you want out of life, and where you want to go and what can get you there, Mary Toss. I've got to keep showing up for my pup. I understand that. And take care of her for a walk. Catch you all tomorrow. Mary Toss, God bless you. Yeah, I remember when I went to the hospital, that was my number one concern. I said, who's going to take care of my dog? And, having a dog is a great part of life, man. There was a tremendous amount of love that I got from my dog that I don't think you can ever experience without having a pet like that. But it was also a tremendous amount of pain when she died, and it was a tremendous responsibility. And I just cannot. I'll go. It's like the same thing I was saying with my friends. I pretty much can say with all big high confidence that I'll probably go through the rest of my life with no other pet, and because I can't go through all that again. It's just too much. And I think that for me, it was like that was my one baby, and that's it. For me, I'm like type of guy. I get married once, and that's it. That's just me. Everyone's different. Love to you, Mary Toss. Christina. This is our little time of not being alone. I agree with that. I feel almost among friends. Well, I appreciate the positive sentiment. This is sunglass face emoji cool. Loving the virtual group. I'm grateful, man. Yeah, I'm grateful for you guys and girls, man. Yeah, I mean, like I say, you go through some ups and downs, on online because you do lose some friends. Um, but it also it can be a positive outlet, and I have to be conscious sometimes to pull myself back, because I still want to be intense. I want to be everything that I am. My mindset. I want to share that, and then I also I got to pull myself back. Because it's a balance. How since I go camping every year, they are shocked and they don't realize I'm just doing me. Yeah, well, if you have to over-explain yourself to someone, it doesn't mean they're wrong, but it just means you're not on the same page, you're not on the same level, your energy's not matching. Again, it's good because it teaches you something, but like I say, in my experience in life, if you have to start over explaining yourself to someone, or if they have to do it to you, it's best to just respect one another, love one another, but go your separate ways, because you're going to end up fighting one another. Even if it's not a physical fight, it's an emotional fight, it's a psychological fight. And you're going to have enough fights in life. You don't want to fight your inner circle, because you're not going to have the strength to fight the world. It's like there's no way. Yeah, not a yes man anymore. Yeah, like I said, that's the problem being positive. Again, sometimes we're all wrong, no matter how I've been wrong. So there is that balance. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You're not. That shouldn't be a debate about what you do. Bottom line is, your time, your life. If it's not affecting them, it's fair that you guys have that conversation. But then after the conversation, both parties have to decide, all right, well, how do I take that conversation? And if both parties can agree, then on a certain level of however we're going to go forward, then it's best both people go their separate ways, and that's a breakup. I've been through plenty of them. D, I decided to end my lifelong friendship, here we go, with only 2 friends that I had. I'm okay with that. I can understand. I mean, it's very painful, but sometimes very necessary. And there are other people out there that you'll connect with, even if it's a temporary. Everything is temporary. It's like, I thought about that today. I said, Sam, remember, you came into this world with nothing, and you're going to leave with nothing. And also remember, just like that comment I read, there was that one kid who left a comment on my page that, him and his siblings, they were given up early on in life. It sounds like they were raised in a very tough household. And even though my household was not perfect, I still consider my upbringing very fortunate, because I believe I had just about everything I wanted. I did have a good group of friends overall, and I would say my environment overall was positive. So that's again, not perfect, but again, overall, So, but I don't know. Everyone takes life differently. Like my siblings look at life differently sometimes, and my friends that I grew up with, some of them, everyone, I don't know, everyone processes. What I found interesting in life is you can put people together in the same circumstance, but they're going to perceive it differently. And there's no explaining that. It's just the way life is. So how I look at something is going to be different than how someone who went through the same thing as me, they're going to look at it different. So I don't know. But like I say, I mean, then we have to go our separate ways. The the friendships became like a job, and I strained. Oh, that's a good comment. I strain on my soul. Yeah, that hurts me sometimes. Now, sometimes when it hurts me, I say, Sam, well, this is correcting me. Because again, sometimes, we're wrong. I've been wrong. But this is the thing I remember too a couple times though, and I remind myself of this lesson. But there's some people that they're a strain on your soul almost all the time. And maybe you are to them, but that's not the type of relationship you need to keep. Because again, your soul's going to get hurt enough in this world. You don't need the people in your inner circle adding to that hurt. Once in a while, the blows of a friend can be trusted. The kisses of an enemy are deadly. So once in a while, again, you need someone to say, "Look, that's not right. This is wrong, Sam." And that's what it is. So, as long as you remember that, hey, do what you got to do. D, I like that, Christina. Our little time together. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Christina, yeah, even life itself is temporary. Well, that's true. And sometimes for me, that's a relief. I hate to say it, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but that's what. But I was listening to someone talk about someone who's brought up in the 1800s. They were reading some history article, and the life expectancy of them was a lot lower. And so, as humans evolved, we've extended life expectancy, and at least on most documented human history, there's some people that, again, even history is debated, so, but again, I think as humans grow older, one is I guess you kind of realize maybe what's important more, but you do get, like people get tired of Florida in September and October, and those are the best times to buy a house in Florida. Right now is the worst time because you got a couple of factors against you. One is we're in the highest housing market ever. Two is, seasonally speaking, everywhere the spring and the summer are peak time because most people want to buy before the school year. And if schools go back to kind of normal next year, once September and October comes, people are kind of bringing their kids back to school. They're not really focused on buying a house. And that's when, maybe some deals open up. That's been my experience in my past couple of years in Florida. But this, with the COVID and everything, there's a lot of changes. And a lot, maybe some people stay doing remote schooling. I don't think most will. Certainly, there's some people that work remotely now more than before. So, for those variables, a lot of the housing demographics have shifted. The question is now, like, how long have they shifted, and is it a permanent thing, D, I can't believe my siblings are related to me. Yeah, it's tough, Overall, I would say again, my siblings, there's been a lot of positive that I'm very grateful for. But both of my siblings are different. I'm different, So it's like everyone's different. And everyone is who they are, though. I mean, people do change, people can change. But for the most part, I look back at my life and I've kind of, even though I've grown, I'm kind of who I was when I was younger to the essence of me. And my siblings, both of them different, have kind of been who they've been since I've known them. So certainly we grow, certainly as they get older. Uh, I believe in grace and being grateful for the positive parts because I think overall we've been blessed. We had lot of positive experiences. But like I say, I need to protect my own mental sanity, my own well-being. And for me, that means kind of more time by myself and limited interaction with certain family. Not because it's a judgment, but because it's a discernment for trying to keep my own well-being together. Um, that's just, part of my journey, and I'm sure many people. Keith, I think, oh, Dave, $5 super chat. Happy summer to us all. Let's not forget that yet. Sam, too. Well, I appreciate that. Guys know I've been basking in summer for the past 12 months. I've been spoiled, well, 8 months. Thank you, D. Very kind of you. Thank you, D, very much for everything. Thank you, Keith, very much for everything. Thank you to all my members. Thank you, everyone who watches. Thank you, thank you. Um, Keith also says, I think you should rent some more time. Just my opinion. No, I'll take that under consideration, Keith. Thank you. Um, yeah, like I said, my hotel stay is up next week. So I could do another 30 days here. I looked at some short-term rentals, some condos or apartments, and I can get them a little bit cheaper. So I'll have to take a look at that too. Like I said, there's one more home base, but it's at the 150,000 range, which I really didn't want to go that high. But I'm definitely take what you say into consideration because you know, I'm not as frantic as I was when I was very close to the condo because the condo kind of took me off guard. I wasn't looking in that direction, and then when I thought I was really just going to go there, I don't know, man. It's like everything happened very quickly, and before you know it, it was just crazy. But I think I've kind of gone back now, where it's like I don't think I go condo. I go condo for rental, but I mean, you never know. If there's a great deal, if it's worth it, and that was a decent deal for around 100K, and that's what kind of made it worth it. But I think I go back to the main goal I had from the beginning, which is beyond the beach, raw RV lot or mobile home, or just nomad. But like I say, I mean, I have a lot to be thankful for, and I am. And we got through another day, okay, even without a house, and I'm thankful for that. Thankful for all of you tonight who watched. I appreciate you. Hopefully the video helped you in some way. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you again, Keith and Dee. Appreciate everyone. Have a great night. Big Plan Dan. Thank you, brother.